So, you're an e-commerce brand looking for a proactive, growth-centric Shopify agency. You've come to the right place.
We're Charle, a Shopify-accredited e-commerce agency based in London.
We partner with e-com brands ranging from world-renowned companies to ambitious startups to design, develop and grow Shopify and Shopify Plus stores. We also support brands to optimize and grow existing stores with our proactive memberships.
Our SEO services help brands to rank higher on leading search engines such as Google.
And finally, we maximize customer retention through email and SMS marketing services. We're obsessed with quality, build mobile first, and keep your business KPIs at the center of everything we do.
Our team has over 50 years of combined experience.
Being partnered and accredited by Shopify directly, we have specialized experience to help brands like you succeed online.
Our team is in-house, hungry for growth, and care about the working relationships we have with customers.
Our deliverables are driven by strategies focused on conversion rate, average order value, and lifetime value.
Keeping your brand's growth at the center of everything we do. So if you're looking for a growth-focused Shopify agency who care about the brands they work with,
let's discuss a partnership for your next phase of growth. Get in touch today.
Hello guys, hi, thank you so much for joining us for our June live e-commerce webinar. Boy, have we got a conversation for you guys today. We're going to be talking all about retention and loyalty, and I have some absolutely amazing guests, as always, waiting in the wings. So without further ado, I'm just going to welcome Katie and Tallulah. Welcome, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me. So, some strange noise going on. It might be my computer. I have no idea what that noise is, so everyone. I'll just start off with a bit of an introduction. So my name's Nick. I'm the founder of Charle. We're a Shopify Plus agency based here in London, which is where I am right now. Katie, I'd love to hand over to you for a short introduction.
Thank you so much, Nick. Yes, pleasure to be here. So my name is Katie. I'm a partner manager at Voyado, predominantly working in the UK. And yeah, pleasure to be here. We work with Charle on the day-to-day, so it's great to be invited into this webinar today.
Amazing. And Tallulah, over to you.
It's great to be here. Obviously, I'm the CRM and email manager at Belstaff, and we are really looking at loyalty at the moment. Work very closely with Katie, and I'm really excited to dive into things today.
It's going to be a good conversation. I've been really excited for this one. So, I mean, I feel like I'm just hearing everybody talking about loyalty and retention right now. It's become a real hot topic. And to be honest, even with the merchants that we've been partnering with, it comes up so commonly now in our conversations. And, you know, yes, they're focusing on acquisition, but also really nurturing those customer bases. So, Tallulah, I'm going to start with you. You recently were telling me that you've kind of taken a step back to really rebuild your loyalty strategy from the ground up. But before we kind of get into it, I would love to understand, like, what made you realize that things weren't working?
Yeah, so I think, and this is an experience that I've had at previous brands and what I'm sure a lot of my peers would understand. Sometimes we get this idea that every other brand is doing it, so we've got to catch up, we've got to do it as well. And it's not properly thought through, and so you can't deliver it in the way that you want to. Loyalty programs are so labor intensive, and they actually require a huge amount of thought and planning and preparation. And you've got to think about what happens after you get them through the door, like how you're going to continue nurturing them, how you're going to continue speaking to them. Do you have the budget for it? Do you have the realistic resources and man hours for it? And that's a hard ask. So sometimes it's better to actually just throw your hands in the air, own it, take a step back and go, right, let's fix this.
Yeah, 100%. I think we often see like the CRM role get commonly put straight into the ecom manager role and not split out, and actually it ends up being another kind of string to the bow of things that you have to do and manage, and it can become really challenging to stay on top of the day-to-day running. So obviously this is your sole focus at Belstaff in terms of really making sure that you're nurturing and keeping customers back. So before this wasn't on our list of questions, but what does your day-to-day look like? Sorry, I've just gone off script.
My day-to-day?
Love to know.
Well, cliched, but I genuinely couldn't tell you. I'm the CRM and email manager, so obviously I'm looking after our BAU emails, I'm looking after our automation emails, I'm owning customer profiles, owning loyalty. So every day is me chasing my own head in a circle and hoping that I come up for air at the end of the day. Mainly though, our customers seem happy, and that's the most important thing.
Love that. Well, you're here today, so you have come up for air today, which is great. Katie, I'm going to dive into to asking you a question now. So are you seeing this trend across retailers that you're speaking with in terms of like really how can we nurture more merchants over time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think loyalty is a complete buzzword at the moment. The market's really responding to how can we look at loyalty. Even our retailers that already have an established loyalty program in place, they're looking at how they can reorientate that or actually take an approach that with acquisition costs being so high, how can we actually begin to retain customers? So we're seeing a big shift in that completely. And I think the main thing we're seeing is community and content-led loyalty really being quite prevalent in a lot of the brands that we're working with. I know by Malene Berger, one of our customers as well in Sweden, they've seen great success by trying to avoid heavily discounting, the typical transactional loyalty. Actually, how can we begin to build more of a community within our customer base and actually get more full price customers actually involved within the brand as well? So we're seeing some really key trends going into the market as well.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like a couple of years ago, we'd have brands coming to work with us and it'd always be like, would you like a loyalty scheme? Tick box. And I think we've really come a long way from that kind of like points-based experience. And actually we're seeing brands really bring it into that wider brand experience part, not just, hey, make a purchase, earn points, or write a review, earn points, but actually like really tapping into that emotional connection with reasons why the customer loved the brand in the first place. Tallulah, is this something that you guys are tapping into in terms of not being so like points for pounds focus in the way that you're trying to get customers to come back?
Yeah, absolutely. I think another experience a lot of premium brands, I mean, all brands are experiencing, is the way that we have, to a degree, kind of trained our shoppers to become discount shoppers, and trying to move away from that as a problem is obviously going to be a long road back. I know during COVID, for example, a lot of people would have slashing prices, trying to keep trade numbers high, and now it's about clawing back almost that improved relationship where you're coming back to regular prices and you're trying to choose content and community over those discounts. So trying to really add an extreme value to what it means to shop directly with you as a brand and how that can truly benefit you. We want to create those feelings of community. We want to show that there is that kind of money can't buy additional family, almost like bring them inside the brand with you.
Yeah, nice. I love that. I think we've seen a few merchants do some like offline activations for people that are in their highest tier within their loyalty scheme, which I think it just really allows customers to start falling in love with the brand again, as opposed to just being absolutely inundated with sales and newsletters and this and that, and it just becomes like noise, doesn't it? Is there any kind of like really good examples or any like collabs that you guys have done or seen where you think this has been an amazing use of loyalty in a world where we've been overloaded by points?
I mean, I've seen fantastic things with Represent. So obviously Belstaff did a collaboration with Represent last year, and they've got an incredible, like really fantastic, very impressive loyalty system. It is very points-based, but I think that works better for a brand like Represent, which is it's cult-driven. You've got like this very like younger profile, you've got a lot of like hype and obsession over it. So I think it's also so important to recognize like who your customer is and like how they want to respond to it. But their loyalty program for them, I would say, is best in class. They've really acknowledged like who the customer is and what they respond to. And you've got people who are spending like so much that they are translating into those top tiers extremely quickly. They were the ones who were getting first dibs to shop the collaboration. And I think we'll be looking to do something similar.
Love it. I've seen so much of Represent's work, actually. I think it's some of the stuff. I don't think it's a coincidence in my view that they have such a loyal and focused customer base in the fact that they've used like their founder as well to really drive that story. Well, that kind of moves me on really nicely to how we actually bake loyalty very much into the brand as opposed to moving away from this like bolt on. We've all seen those websites where like, join my loyalty scheme, and then there's a whole dedicated landing page about it. And then if you were to log into your My Account area, you suddenly see all your points. But maybe, I mean, personally, I don't think I'd care that much about it. I think if brands that I really like, it's probably way more than that. Now, Katie, from your own client base, do you have any like real strong examples of where loyalty's been really used before, like that initial purchase decision?
Yeah, I really agree with that, to what you said there as well, to touch upon the data, understanding your customer. And I think a really good example that we have within one of our customers is Nudie Jeans, and not just pre-purchase, but actually during post-purchase as well, in terms of building loyalty into their core brand mission as well. So something that they do really well is actually bring out their loyalty repair package or repair loyalty program as well. So as a Nudie Jeans customer, you're able to actually take those jeans in store and not just get points based on that repair, but also actually in terms of longevity. So I think we're seeing a real shift in actually building out more experience-led. I think another thing that they do quite well is that omni-channel perspective. So Nudie Jeans, regardless, I think consumers see one channel, right, don't they? They don't see multi-channel. So Nudie Jeans have had a really good example of shipping from store as well. So being able to unify the unified commerce experience and bake that into loyalty with something like a brand mission and bring out a care package like that, I think has been a really good example.
I love that. You just have to really, I always think, just really get like creative with your own brand. Otherwise, you just end up falling into the trap of, we've got this, we've got that all the other brands are doing, and then it just becomes noise. But when you see, like, if you've got a really sustainability focused brand, I know Finisterre do a lot of repairs, and I absolutely love if you can bake that into like what previously was quite a transactional relationship, and actually it's like it leans into our values as a brand, but also leans into a way to keep customers engaged, and it's right for the business. Then I think that everybody is a winner in that sense. Tallulah, what about for you guys? How are you guys sort of thinking to really bake it into the journey and not just like this post-purchase afterthought, if you like?
Yeah, I mean, such a relevant question because, as you guys have alluded to, the customer typically only sees that one channel. I think it's so important to remember that your customer isn't as privy to the inner workings of your brand as you are. You've got to remove yourself from that very insular view sometimes. We're really excited about being able to shift it and think about those longer term relationships. Like, if you're going to have it at every single stop gate, then it needs to be across e-com, it needs to be across retail, it needs to be in your before and your after journeys. I think one of the examples I really love is Canada Goose. Have you guys ever been into their stores?
Yeah.
Because they've got it fully baked and it's on their mirrors, you've got QR codes, you've got like stuff, you've got vinyls on the mirrors alluding to it, it's at checkout, it's on the website, it's like every single place you look, it is very, very clear that you can be part of that. And so I think for us, in terms of thinking about it being like a fully rounded out experience, it's really important to make sure we're getting buy-in from every facet of the business. That includes training your retail team to be able to speak to customers in the right way. It means having it on the mirrors. It means having it in your emails, on the website, on paid ads, every single touch point, on your packaging, everything. Yeah.
I love that. I think you're so right. Like, I think if we look at marketing in general, typically we're also obsessed with this attribution of everything. You need to see where everything is attributed. But actually, in standard acquisition-based marketing, we typically see that when we take a very multi-touch approach to everything typically does better. And I think loyalty is absolutely no different. So I love the idea of putting QR codes on mirrors and things like that, because actually, if you've been on the website, learn a little bit about the loyalty scheme, maybe not consciously taking it on board, but then when you go into store, you're like, oh yeah, I actually remember that. What's this all about? This is these regular touch points. That's where loyalty, I personally think, can be a really powerful investment for brands. And one other thing I think I was going to touch on is like how you can really bake in loyalty at every single step of your entire marketing strategy, and getting away from this idea of post-purchase. So actually things like, retargeting campaigns, start talking about loyalty schemes there before customers are even going in for their second purchase. Or when we're scoping out kind of on-site experiences here at the agency, really looking at like product page designs to where they indicate the loyalty scheme. And one of our amazing brands, Cambridge Satchel, did this really well, actually. They have like little point indicators across the site, but actually then they've done some other things that tap into some of their other activations that aren't all just this big push. But what's really nice is wherever you see it, it's consistent. It's just like those small little touch points I think can make a really big difference. And you're like a year later after rolling out all these small changes, like, our retention rate's gone up by 10%. I wonder why, which I think is really interesting. Now, I want to take the conversation to tiers because, I think I remember Skinny Dip. I think they've actually stopped it now, but they used to have the phone case brand. They used to have like all this aeroplane themed loyalty scheme, and they had all these different tiers. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Are tiers good? Are they bad? Like, have we moved away from that, or are we still there?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I think going back to what Tallulah mentioned around understanding your customer, it becomes really important in terms of how you can differentiate within loyalty as well. So if we look at the example I use of Buy a Million Burger, they've done a really good example of actually nurturing customers through segmentation to become more of a higher value customer, right? They can have higher average order value if we ensure that we actually build out that journey for them. And then also we can look at really good examples like Space & K. They're not a Voyado customer, but I absolutely love how transparent their tiers are. I think especially with that product, when it's a high, it's a premium product, right? I shouldn't really be spending £70 a month on Orbay hair or hair conditioner or shampoo. However, their loyalty program really incentivizes me to understand where I'm at within their tiers as well. So I think that transparency piece really helps for upsell opportunity as well, as I'm not going to shop elsewhere. I know that actually £100, £5 off, that's actually only 1 or 2 purchases at Space & K. So it makes it quite manageable. So I think there's definitely a place for it. It just needs to be intentional in terms of how we actually segment and utilize tiers throughout loyalty.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think as well, like it does depend on the industry. For me, I try and think back of like, what do I buy regularly? The brands that I really care about getting more transactional based loyalty rewards are the ones I'm buying regularly. Like, for example, my dog food subscription. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. If I want to get 20 quid off every few months, I'm definitely going to pay attention to this. But if I look at some of like my favorite men's fashion brands, for example, I'm often less incentivized by getting, I don't know, a few points for my purchase because I don't know it's not like I'm going to definitely buy in the next 2 weeks. So actually other things are going to probably spark my interest. I love how like Percival, for example, do some really cool like pub activations and so on, which I really like seeing. Tallulah, in your strategy, tiers, no tiers? What's your view?
So I'm in favour of tiers as long as you don't overcomplicate it. I think it is important to recognise that every brand does have a VIP section, and when people are spending, especially on premium products, they're spending huge amounts of money. Okay, we've got customers who have easily spent more than my salary over the past 2 years on Belstaff, right? They love it. We've got the brand heroes. But when you're spending that much money, you need to treat them a little bit better. But then again, it comes back to understanding your customer. Like, I know who our core customer profile is extremely intimately, and I know that person doesn't want loads of fluff or guff. They want it to be super clear, super concise, and straight to the point. They do also, obviously, as you say, I think that's such a great point, Nic, around, if you're buying something regularly, you probably want the discount versus if you're buying something bigger and more longer term, you want more of the community access. I think with Belstaff being such a heritage brand and a moto brand, it's about being able to provide access to our partners and the people we collaborate with and the kind of world that we exist in. We're going to Adventure Bike Rider Festival, so we're speaking to our customers about that. So yeah, just really, again, what does the customer want? How does your customer profile actually respond to things? Take yourself out, put them in your shoes, go from there.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. If I'm selfishly thinking about myself, and I think I don't quite often like I've seen these like really complex loyalty tiers of like, if you do this and then I don't care. I just want to buy some of your shit and that's it. Like, I think sometimes us working in ecom can get a little bit too overexcited with how much customers really care about the detail, but actually what they care about is the overall experience in my view. I think one thing I've seen I personally would call a bit of a mistake is just over engineering the means to deliver customer retention, as opposed to thinking about, what do our customers actually want from us, as opposed to getting really bogged down with the detail of how you deliver that particular retention strategy, which I think is interesting. But I love these like small soft touches, like one of our other merchants, they actually have got like a tiered system internally that's not that visible to the customer. So they don't really know what tiers they're actually in. But what it does do is once a certain customer has, once they enter their like VIP group, for example, they don't know they're in it, but suddenly they're getting WhatsApp styling advice directly with a dedicated person. So actually you're delivering loyalty, or you're using tiers in the back end with various platforms, but actually it's focused on the experience itself, as opposed to being like, hey, do you want to go up a tier? This is what you need to do. It's just like overselling. So on that leads me quite nicely to actually a bit of a discussion about retention in general. And I think I'd love to hear your views here, Tallulah, because I think me and Katie will bring probably a more technical approach to it, because we spend our lives integrating and creating retention strategies. But actually, what in your view, Tallulah, what actually like builds retention within a customer base? Because it goes way beyond just a tier or the fact that you even got a loyalty plan or you send emails, right?
Yeah, I mean, building retention is such a big question with no simple answer. But a lot of it comes down to ensuring that the customer's needs and pain points are being answered. Like at the end of the day, you are selling something, so it's about making sure that actual journey is as good as it can be, while creating a whole ecosphere that they can exist within. Right? You want all of the various touch points. You want them to come in, be part of the family. I spoke earlier about bringing them into the brand instead of just someone who you have a relationship with. And that's really important for us. When you have a lot of brand heroes, you want to be speaking to them in that way. And I would say that a lot of what we're seeing right now is giving that kind of behind the scenes access. People want the exclusivity. They want the scarcity stuff that they can't get elsewhere. They want the content. They want the styling. We're looking at kind of offering, you were talking earlier about WhatsApp styling, like almost for that highest tier, top tier, giving them access to even like our designers, for example, to be able to like understand, collection previews, things like this, where they get to really go, oh, I got to do this. That builds such a feeling of excitement and dedication and love of the brand. And it's not necessarily just about buying something, it's we've brought you into the house.
Yeah, I love that. One thing I've seen with Represent do actually is I follow George Heaton, one of the founders, and he's like a master of personal brand. It's so amazing watching how he does it, because, I saw one Instagram story where it was like, somebody reminded me that once we refunded somebody's entire order once they came to our vault drop, for example. And then literally 2 days later, he had a picture of somebody went, hey, has that been announced yet? And then he replied saying it's getting announced today. It's like building this excitement towards those VIP customers who've got that early access that everybody else didn't. And actually, I found it so amazing that he was almost creating that sense of excitement based on him resharing other people's excitement, which I think was really, really interesting, and just actually how you can pull social strategy really strong into these big loyalty factors. And Katie, obviously we take more of a technical approach to retention, right? In terms of how our platforms or our services can help brands to retain more customers and keep them coming back. But tell me what your thoughts are on what's truly building retention amongst a customer base.
Yeah, I mean, I completely echo what you've both said. And I think we've seen it with our own brands. If I mentioned By Marlene Berger one more time, right? They've actually done a A/B test that have really kind of reinstated everything you guys have mentioned, where they've looked at testing, discounting and trying to acquire more customers through discounting, and then also actually more exclusive perks. And they've seen a significant uplift when it's exclusive perks. I think that community aspect really does drive, again, depending on the brand, but really does drive that excitement and that exclusivity feel. I think is something we're seeing a real trend at the moment in terms of brands building out more content-led strategies. So yeah, I think it's a really successful strategy.
But one thing I've really noticed, and some things that we have challenges with our brands, is sometimes just like that brand pushback. It's like, it would be so cool if we could push out a really spare of the moment, low res, like not super high quality, not polished kind of loyalty experience. But actually, and we see it in other services, actually, not just like retention, but even with like SEO and so on, where you're trying to rank for more colloquial keywords. But actually, it can be a bit of a fight with the branding team who are dying for that brand to stay visible in the way that they know and have created. Tallulah, is this a challenge that you see at Belstaff, or are you guys pretty cool with going off brand book, if you like?
I think it's a problem that I experience everywhere. Once people are set in their ways, they're very keen to stay with that. And again, this is where I keep coming back to that notion of like, who is your customer and what do they want? And you have to champion that, and you have to put it first. And like, so much of being a CRM manager is championing the customer, and sometimes it's having to go to bat with the brand champion who is protecting and defending the realm of the brand. Sometimes the best way to get the message across is to keep it extremely clear and succinct, and not a big, beautiful, brave brand campaign. And that's a really difficult conversation to have, but I find that the numbers do often speak for themselves. And when you have people responding so directly and so well to that more real tone of voice, that less polished, less fine-tuned side of things, like, you do have to make room for it and acknowledge that there is space for that. And two things can coexist. They can, but it can't be one or the other, I feel.
Yeah, I think I'm a big believer as well, is that actually they both probably play a part in each other. In actually, okay, we often see, it's so common that we see like really polished emails or really polished social campaigns underperforming, but then you see the more kind of casual type UGC style or more conversational style marketing works better. But actually, the question has to be had in terms of, is that working so well because you've built that vision with the customer much earlier on? So now when you're reaching out your hand and saying, hey, come into our brand, as you say, actually that's where that conversion point is. And it's just, a bit more of a nurture as opposed to a conversion type activity, maybe. And we had a fashion breakfast actually not so long ago, and an ads agency, Prosper Media, great guys, were actually saying about how working on like a colder layer, which you don't expect to see conversions from, can really massively impact goals later down the line, which I think is super interesting. And I have no doubt that it probably lays well with loyalty and retention too. And Katie, is it, you're in a really unique position that you get to see across many merchants in terms of what's working and what's not. And are you noticing any trends away from these big, massive kind of like hero campaigns and more like softer touch points?
Yeah, I guess across our whole proposition as well, one thing that we could often see is personalization becomes very prevalent. So making sure it doesn't feel campaign-like. Again, it comes down to the brand, right? We have various different types of brands that we work with, but especially in that luxury space where Belstaff fits, ensuring that it is a, not like a mass campaign, and we're seeing the move away from more towards a lo-fi setup, I think is definitely more prevalent with the brands that we're working with.
Yeah, and do you think SMS and WhatsApp has kind of got a role in this?
Yeah, I also think segmentation becomes quite important there as well. I mean, I sign up for every discount because I'm quite price sensitive. So I've got about 1 million I'm very type B. I've got about 1 million texts on my phone that I haven't opened to get that discount. And I think that can often be a very misuse of SMS, but at the right time and in the right place, I think absolutely making sure that you can use segmentation to ensure that you don't overuse SMS and actually target the right messages. So triggers, back in stock, or, we noticed that there's this offer that you haven't actually redeemed, I think can be really high conversion yields as well. So I think definitely a place for it. Just it needs to be intentful, again, as I said.
Yeah, interestingly, I was at a talk the other day and somebody actually said that the best SMS campaigns feel like a service, not a sale. So like advice or alerts or back in stock nudges that are really actually useful, as opposed to using them as like, I'm going to name and shame Inky List. I unsubscribed from their SMS because I just got so many, hopefully they're watching so then they can get some feedback, but I just got so many like annoying SMS messages that I was like, this is super frustrating. I actually really like the brand, but now I just don't want to be inundated.
Yeah,
Tallulah, you guys use WhatsApp on a really casual basis for relationships, right?
Yeah, we do. Our retail staff, boots on the ground, they use it and they use it really, really well. I think it's so fantastic because a lot of them have been with us for a long time. So they've built these incredible long-standing relationships with a lot of our more like retail-led customers. And as a result, they're being able to use WhatsApp to go, oh, by the way, we just got this in. I think you'd really like it. Sending them a photo. I can hold one in your size. Maybe you can come in at the weekend, try it on. And these messages have been shared with me. I've seen it and the customers love it. Like, leverage it. If the retail staff and the customers are working so well together in that way, let them do it. I don't need to throw the brand book at it. It's fine. They're doing their own thing. It's working.
Yeah. You're like, I haven't got a report on that, but I know it's working. Nice. Well, I can't believe we've flown through a half an hour webinar, but I'm just going to finish off on one final kind of question. And I'm going to aim it at you two first of all, is what does loyalty and retention for Belstaff look like over the next 12 to 24 months? That is a big question for very little time, but
that's okay. I've built a roadmap, like I alluded to at the beginning of this talk. It's really important to not try and bite off more than you can chew. If you're trying to build something really strong and foundational, take the time to build those foundations. And that's what we're doing. We're pulling it back a little bit. We're figuring out exactly how it works, exactly what the resources are, and then we're going to deliver it, knowing that we have the manpower to do so.
Love it. Katie, what are your merchants thinking about for the next year?
Yeah, I think the main thing on Voyado is consolidation. So allowing you to, if you're rebuilding or if you're starting loyalty from scratch, understand your customers, layer it with insights, and actually understand how best to engage those customers and create non-promotional experience to really focus on retention. I think that's probably the kind of catchphrase that we're working towards at Voyado at the moment.
Love it. Well, Katie, Tallulah, thank you so much for sparing 30 minutes of your afternoon to come and share all things loyalty. I hope everybody listening has really enjoyed our session and it's been of value. Thank you so much for also giving up your time as well. We're running these webinars every single month, so there'll be another one in July. I nearly said June, thinking it was May, and it's not. Oh my goodness, where's this year going? But yeah, thank you so much. I wish you all an amazing rest of your week, and we'll speak again soon. Thanks, guys. So, you're an e-commerce brand looking for a proactive, growth-centric Shopify agency. You've come to the right place.
We're Charle, a Shopify-accredited e-commerce agency based in London.
We partner with e-com brands ranging from world-renowned companies to ambitious startups to design, develop and grow Shopify and Shopify Plus stores. We also support brands to optimize and grow existing stores with our proactive memberships.
Our SEO services help brands to rank higher on leading search engines such as Google.
And finally, we maximize customer retention through email and SMS marketing services. We're obsessed with quality, build mobile first, and keep your business KPIs at the center of everything we do.
Our team has over 50 years of combined experience.
Being partnered and accredited by Shopify directly, we have specialized experience to help brands like you succeed online.
Our team is in-house, hungry for growth, and care about the working relationships we have with customers.
Our deliverables are driven by strategies focused on conversion rate, average order value, and lifetime value.
Keeping your brand's growth at the center of everything we do. So if you're looking for a growth-focused Shopify agency who care about the brands they work with,
let's discuss a partnership for your next phase of growth. Get in touch today.